Hello and welcome back to another episode of Injustice For All MMA. My name is David, and this episode is for UFC Fight Night Tuivasa versus Tybura. Quick thing, I know what you're thinking. This is the latest episode ever, but sometimes you just have to go with the flow. You just gotta keep churning. Right now we're in the midst of 3 more fight nights. This one wasn't as boring as I thought it would be. In fact, it was pretty entertaining. But we now have 3 more fight nights. And just looking at the schedule, not even the schedule, just looking at those 3 cards that are up next, they look very, very plain. And at this point, I'm very tired. And I'm just waiting and praying for UFC 300. But hopefully, I make it to where I'll be able to see UFC 300. But in the meantime, we have to get through this fight night. So, let's start off with the first fight of the night, and that's Grigoriou versus Anheliger. I think it's Anheliger, there we go. We got it back. I had this 29-28 for Anheliger. Last 2 rounds for Anheliger. First round for Grigoriou. Close marker on the first round. I think you can actually argue the first round for Anheliger. It's close on strikes, and Grigoriou has a takedown, which is why I gave it to Grigoriou. But if you watch the round correctly in that first round, Anheliger it's close on the feet, but Anheliger is active on bottom, but barely. If we're just going to be honest here, he outstrikes Grigoriou enough to where you can kind of argue that he won this round. Weird thing about it, though, is that Grigoriou gets a takedown and kind of does nothing with it. So, again, you can this is a toss-up round, really. But I gave it to Grigoriou. Second round comes in, and Grigoriou's going for 70,000 takedowns. Gets none of them. Anheliger is outstriking him in the clinch. He outstrikes him on the feet. He outstrikes him in those weird exchanges where I guess this counts as the clinch, but to be specific, he's outstriking him with elbows where Grigoriou's trying to get a takedown on the fence. He's unable to, so Anheliger's just elbowing him at every chance he gets, striking him at every chance he gets, and he pretty much wins the round on that one. And then in the third round, he just explodes. Anheliger outstrikes Grigoriou by about 40 plus strikes is what I counted. Clean strikes, 40 plus strikes here. I don't know what the official numbers say. The official numbers were weird throughout the entire fight card, coupled with commentary that pisses me off from Dom and Bisping. But beyond that, I'll just mention that one time, but beyond that, the strike counter was weird tonight. There's many fights here where the strike counter looked very, not bad, but just late. It was odd. So I don't know what they say on the third round for Anheliger, but I had him up 40 plus strikes. You go to the judges' scorecard. I had this 29-28 Anheliger. You go to the judges' scorecards. All right, and Adelaide Burher's scorecard reflects mine. Jaron Villal, his scorecard reflects mine, and then Derek Cleary has a 30-27 for Anheliger. So there you go on that. You go to the next thing, and we have the first robbery in a really long time. Okay, this is a robbery. I don't want to hear anything short of it. This is a robbery, and this is Culibao versus Silva. Okay, I had this 29-28 Culibao. First 2 rounds for Culibao. Last round for Silva. Obviously, this ended in a split decision for Silva. Let's start off with the first round. So in the first round, Silva had a takedown, and he had a submission attempt, right? He didn't drop Culibao. Okay, he rocked Culibao, goes for a submission, doesn't get it, gets a takedown later on, right? He gets outstruck by Culibao, 20 plus strikes in this round. Minus the little action that happened in the first part of the round, this is Culibao's round, objectively speaking. Clearly. The commentary would make it sound otherwise, which is why I'm just like, commentary was pissing me off throughout the night because they were making it. There were certain instances where I gotta find another fight. Oh, we'll get to that in a second. But where Rodriguez versus Dulgarian, where they made it, okay, the last round is a 10-8, but they didn't have any mention of the first round being a 10-8 at all in that fight. But we'll get to that. Back to the Culibao fight. Culibao outstrikes Silva by 20 plus strikes in that first round. That round belongs to him. You go to the second round. Silva gets a takedown. Again, does nothing with the takedown, by the way, in terms of strikes, right? So Silva gets a takedown, but he got outstruck by Culibao. Very clear. This is, again, Culibao's round. You go to the third round, close on strikes. Silva gets 2 takedowns. Does nothing with these takedowns, but he gets 2 takedowns, and they're both even on the feet. That's where you get that round for Silva. You go to the judges' scorecards, and it hurts my soul to see this stuff. It hurts my soul. So Derek Leary gives the first round to Culibao. Okay, so we're good. Second round gives to Silva. Absolute nonsense. Silva gets 2 takedowns. He does nothing with them. Culibao gets up almost as soon as Silva gets the takedowns, really. This is a null and void takedown, and he continues to get outstruck by Culibao. Just ridiculous. Last round obviously goes to Silva, so there you have it on that one. Saul D'Amato. First round he gives to Culibao. Second round he gives to Culibao. All right, last round he gives to Silva. His scorecard reflects mine. And then Ron McCarthy, his scorecard obviously reflects Derek Cleary. And that's where you get the split decision. They gave the second round to Silva off of 2 takedowns that really meant nothing, and then he proceeded to get outstruck. This is just a bad scorecard by 2 of those guys, and Culibao got robbed. There you have it. All right, you go to the next honorable mention, and that's Rodriguez versus Dulgarian. Guys, I just want to be honest with you. This is a robbery, but I can't complain. It's a robbery. Okay. Dulgarian was robbed. He should have gotten the victory. This fight ended in a split decision. I had it 28-27, a 10-8 in the first round for Dulgarian, a 10-8 in the third round for Rodriguez, and then a 10-9 for Dulgarian in the second round. This is a robbery, and I will, in my heart of heart, if I go on a date and a girl comes to me and say, "Hey, did you ever see Dulgarian versus Rodriguez?" I'm gonna just. First of all, I'll be surprised. And then second, I'll go, yes, and Dulgarian won that fight. But let's get down to the nitty gritty of this whole thing. This is a robbery, but because one of the rounds are, I disagree in the sentiment that it's close. But I have to be objective when making this point, which is a judge could possibly see it the other way and not be wrong. So we'll get to it. Let's start off with the first round. The first round, Dulgarian gets 3 takedowns with ground and pound for 3+ minutes. It's a possible 10-8, but objectively speaking, I gave it a 10-8. Second round comes in, and this is the obvious swing round. Rodriguez is outstriking Dulgarian. Not by a lot. It's not a lot. This isn't Culibao round 2. Okay, or excuse me. Let me just go back to make sure I'm saying that correctly. This isn't. This isn't. Where am I looking at? Yeah, this isn't Culibao round 2 versus Silva. In this second round, Rodriguez outstrikes him, but it's not enough, in my opinion, to deter the fact that Dulgarian had 4 takedowns. We've seen rounds like this before where a person's getting outstriked, but the other guy is taking them down so much that the strikes are kind of null and void. There's many fights like that. In this scenario, though, the takedowns definitely outweigh the minimal amount of strikes that were, not minimal, but the relative size of strikes that were landed on Dulgarian by Rodriguez. You go to the third round. Okay. Rodriguez dominates this round. He outstrikes Dulgarian by a lot on the feet and ground and pound as well. Possible 10-8. I gave it a 10-8. The swing round is the second round, where we're now arguing over is the amount that Rodriguez outstruck Dulgarian, is that enough to deter the 4 takedowns that Dulgarian had? I say no. The judges, I think 2 of them, say yes. So we go to the judges' scorecards there. Saul Diamata, he gives first round, he gives to Dulgarian 10-8. Last round, he gives to Rodriguez 10-8. Second round, he gives to Rodriguez 10-9. Ron McCarthy, his scorecard reflects Saul Diamata, and Anthony Manis, his scorecard reflects mine. And that's pretty much it. I want to bash it, but I can't. It's kind of close, but I don't think it is. I can't really stamp my foot on it. So there you have it on that. Next honorable mention: St. Preux versus Nzechukwu. Guys, this ended in a split decision. Again, shitty commentary. The strike counter's off. You have John Gooden telling us that in the first round that Nzechukwu outstruck St. Preux. That's just fucking nonsense. I'm not even playing around here. This is a 30-27 St. Preux. 30-27 Preux. If you want to be cute about it, you can go 29-28 St. Preux. This is a 30-27 St. Preux. No split decision. You cannot argue this fight for Nzechukwu. The scorecards are all over the place, by the way. So insane. Let's start off with the first part. St. Preux outstruck Nzechukwu by 11 strikes. He outstruck him clear. The fact that the strike counter was showing Nzechukwu up is nonsense. Okay, there. You have a lot of missed shots by Nzechukwu. A lot of missed shots that weren't landing. Same by St. Preux, but more by Nzechukwu just hitting the arms. The jab not fully touching the face. Don't get me wrong, his jab was landing on St. Preux, but most of it wasn't. Okay, so St. Preux outstrikes Nzechukwu in the first round. Second round does the same, this time by a lesser amount, 6 strikes on my counter. And then in the third round, close on strikes. At the first part of the round, St. Preux is outstriking Nzechukwu, but then he also drops Nzechukwu. He drops him. He's outstriking him by a little at the start of the round, and then middle to the end is when they both start trading and they both start landing on each other. We've seen this many times. He dropped him. I don't know where you're supposed to go. This round belongs to Nzechukwu. It doesn't at all, and yet I'm gonna look at the scorecards here, and someone probably gave it to him. Go to the judges' scorecards, and it's fucking ridiculous. Okay, he gets dropped here. Nzechukwu gets dropped at the start of the third round, and then they both proceed to trade shots for the rest of the round. You go to the scorecards. Adelaide Bird, first 2 rounds for St. Preux, last round to Nzechukwu. Honorable mention, stupid, nonsense. Derek Cleary gives the first round to St. Preux, right? Gives the second round to Nzechukwu, nonsense. Honorable mention, and then gives the last round to Nzechukwu as well. Honorable mention, no. Then you have the third judge. First round to Oven St. Preux. Junior Kamijo gives the first round to St. Preux. Second round to Nzechukwu, no. And then gives the third round to St. Preux. These scorecards are all over the place. There's no unanimity. The only unanimity is literally on the first round. Other than that, they're all over the place. So honorable mention, everyone. It's ridiculous. I was so surprised by the end of this that I'm hearing 29-28 both ways. It's a 30-20. It's a clear 30-27. But cool. Go to the last honorable mention, and that's Battle versus Losa. Obviously, the first round, we don't care. First round is Battle outstrikes Losa. And then the real meat comes in the second, where basically Battle is on his way to winning against Losa. Accidental head clash leads to Battle framing, attempting to frame off of Losa and basically poking his eye. Loosa then is given time. And what's running through my head at the time is he's kind of already starting to cry. He looks like he's whimpering already. And two things are going in my head before anything happened. My head was thinking, okay, Loosa thinks he's losing and he's trying to find a way out. And then my second was, he genuinely can't see. He genuinely can't see. So I still don't know where I fall on this. I really don't. I really don't know where I fall on this. This kind of... I don't know where I fall on this. I don't want to come off partial to some person, or I want to be impartial in this scenario, but the optics definitely favored battle in terms of how Loosa looked during him trying to clear his eye and even after him trying to clear his eye. So there's that. But in terms of the whole thing, you can argue, hey, look, he tried to get out of that. He looked like he was losing. He looked like he was on his way to losing. He didn't look himself. He was on his way to a loss. And then also, maybe there's a chance that his eye was blurry. And in the end, we were left with a no contest via eye poke. And what really caught me off guard is the really funny visual of Loosa turning to battle and him just looking at him like kind of sad, and out of nowhere Battle's like, you're a fucking pussy. And then Loosa going, I'll kill you, I'll fucking kill you. That I haven't heard in a long time. The I'll fucking kill you I haven't heard in a long time. But it was so it's funny to hear, because it was funny to hear. I guess the UFC staff made it a little more they made it a little more concerning, because I guess I don't know, maybe they're workers for the UFC, so their faces give me a different like vibe. I'm laughing, I'm having fun. This is like, oh shit, this is great, we can rebook this. I hope they better rebook this. Even though when I first saw it, I was like, I don't want to watch this. The UFC staff turn to Loosa when he's saying, I'll kill you, and they look at him like, oh my god, he might kill him. They're looking at him like, oh my god, he might, like, as if they haven't watched enough fights already. Anyways, that was just a funny thing to mention. Other than that, that's about it. Tuivasa loses in the first round to Tybura, and that's pretty much the end of this fight card. Let's hope we get something a little more entertaining in the next fight. I mean, this fight card wasn't too bad. But these next three are going to kill me. The card looks absolutely disgusting. There are some bright spots in cards coming up. I saw Trevor Peek. I saw Nate Landwehr. I saw I swear I saw some more people. Curtis versus Allen. Even though I find Curtis a tad bit boring, that we're in for some nice fights, but we just have 3 more weeks until UFC 300. And we'll wait and see how that goes. Thank you all for listening. I'll be back next week, hopefully earlier. Thank you all for listening, and God bless.